you feeling after that? What was your favourite fight?
I think my favorite fight, just like everybody else's, most likely was Brian Ortega versus Volkanovski, and it was just such a good fight, like some of the best rounds we've ever seen as far as back and forth battles. Definitely like a fight of the night. And both of them were just going so hard. We saw a lot of heart from Brian Ortega, and um, both of them did a really good job. But the winner obviously was the clear winner in that fight. Got stuck in a lot of submission attempts that were so close, and he even said himself, that guillotine choke almost took him out.
Yeah, don't understand how he managed to get out of that at all. Now, just based on Brian Ortega, then, just based on the overall, as someone who's been in the octagon as well, do you feel that fighters being durable, more complimentary towards their durability, do you feel that that's perhaps not always a good thing because it's not showcasing what they're good at because they're too busy taking damage?
Um, I don't know. It kind of just depends on the fighter. Some fighters fight good when they take a lot of damage, people forward, and it's part of their toughness that ends up winning them fights. Some fighters, that is their style. Almost wear people out by letting them punch them, get some damage, and then finish a fight. I'm one of them that doesn't like to be hit. In terms
Hmm.
of, if you can avoid getting hit, take it to the ground and finish a fight, then so be it. That's the best option, right? Or to
Hmm.
hit somebody, not get back. But there are more and more things that come out, I feel like, in this modern day era with medical clearances and medical knowledge that show us that maybe getting in the head, hitting the head so much isn't the smartest move. All
Hmm.
the way from these boxers and stuff with CTE to concussions to these fighters that have short lifespans within their career because of how much damage they take over time.
Yeah. So if I was to call you or any media outlet were to say Miranda Maverick, her last fight, she got really damaged, but she's a warrior. In many aspects, that could be taken in a really complimentary fashion, but and again, it could be a representation of the damage. I mean, would you love to be called a warrior, or do you think that that's a bit two-sided?
Um, in that case, like I guess you'd rather somebody say something good about you than bad, and when bad stuff to say, then so be it. I know that I've had fights before where, as the winner in a lot of the fights where the other fighter gets damaged, it's almost annoying to hear it. Like, you hear commentary and it'll be like, so and so's defending really well, or so and so's really durable. And it's almost a joke because they're trying to come up with something good that they can say about the other fighter when they're getting
Yeah.
beat up.
Hmm.
Um, so from that perspective, I don't think it's bad at all. You do what you do to not only keep the entertainment aspect of the sport going, but also to keep that other person encouraged. You don't want to rewatch a fight and all you hear is, oh, you're getting beat up and oh, you're taking damage. Like, I don't think the fans or the fighter wants to hear that.
No, without a doubt. So just jumping on to your just personal life, just for a second before we get into the kind of fights and that. So I see that you're very busy, as we've established, but you're very, very busy. You're doing a lot of kind of jiu-jitsu tournaments, you're doing a lot of seminars. Do you feel it's very important for you to, away from the statistics type of job, do you feel it's very important to be in the sport in the sense of competition? Are you a very big competitor?
I think it's not only important to remain relevant and competitive outside of when I have fights scheduled, but I also think it's important to make sure that I'm looking outside of just the cage for work. At the end of the day, like, I don't want to be so one dimensional that all I do is fight with my life. I want to have a lot of other aspects where I'm able to make income. And if fighter pay is a problem, then you got to find a way to fix that. And I don't plan on just sitting here and being broke and lazy. I'm going to use the youth that I have and the time that I have to go out and try to make dreams come true.
And that's the vibe that I get for you. You're kind of doing it in reverse, if you will. You know that we know about many fighters who get into the business, accidental or intentional, but when they finish the business, they don't have that backup plan because they've not looked after that side of things on the way up. Do you think that this is going to be, let's just say, for example, a couple of more fights, more eyes on you, more competition, more financial incentive? Do you think that you'll ever jump in full time, or do you think you'll always have something on the side?
I think I will jump in full time. I'll probably still be teaching seminars and stuff on the side, but I do hope to be able to stop my part-time work as a statistician. But to be honest, it's good right now, not only for the extra income, but to be able to go back and say I do have experience related to my degree. I can, once my fighting career is over, if I need a job, then I'm able to go right into the career field and get it. Instead of being like, well, I got done with college 4 years ago. Hopefully they'll give me a job even though I've never worked anywhere. So this is giving me good background in my other career. It's giving me good work references. And on top of that, extra income right now. And I do hope that I won't need that extra income in the next, I don't know, year or so. But as long as I'm able to keep it up, then I'll keep multitasking.
Yeah. Do you feel that, I mean, I study myself, and I know that even if I'm not studying or focusing on the same topic, do you feel it helps you in fighting just on the basis that you are fighting, but there's a mental edge perhaps that you're bringing into the fight because you're not just watching tape, you're not focusing on combat sports every minute of every day, you're being presented with problems, tasks, challenging situations. Do you think that helps you as a fighter?
I think my overall background of having other stuff that I keep up with and multitasking helps me as far as having better fight IQ when I go into the cage. But I will say I look forward to the day where I can be a full-time fighter and go in there with every hour of sleep that I needed, every hour of training that I needed, and recovery that was proper, instead of waking up, getting mentally exhausted, then going to training, getting physically exhausted, and repeating that process. I do think it is a detriment to me. But where it comes as a benefit is the fact of that fight IQ, but also I feel like as far as discipline and work ethic, I can't really be beat on that front.
You can see that a mile off. So, in other news in your life, you're now in Colorado, Elevation Fight Team, very, very big gym, very, very popular as well. Was that an easy decision to make? We know that Colorado and Virginia aren't across the road from one another. Was there a big thought process going into that?
There was a big thought process, but once I decided Colorado, that wasn't a question. What I narrowed it down by state that myself and my fiance were willing to move to, and then states down by which ones had good gyms that I would be willing to go to, and then which one would be closer to my family, whom I'm very close with, and I have property that I bought near them. So Colorado ended up being the way that we went, and I was already very familiar with a lot of the gyms out here. Actually, I've trained with over time. I've came to fight camps, and I've came for weeks at a time just to come up here and train in my younger years of my career. So I knew these coaches out here and some of the females out here, and it has like the largest women population of fighters, especially at my level, that I could ever come to. And it's such a good gym with so many options for coaches too. So it was the obvious choice. And since I've been out here, I have not regretted my decision at all. I love it.
Yeah. As I said, brilliant gym to be with. Was there any other gyms that were in the shortlist? Any of the more popular ones?
People have heard of Factory X. It's up here in Denver as for a consideration. I just waited on eventually went with Team Elevation just because of the higher population of training partners and different coaches I could choose from. And then, there was Glory in Kansas City, which I had debated about, a couple and a couple in Florida, and that was about where I had it narrowed down to.
Yeah, Elevation is very world class. I've been fortunate to talk to a lot of fighters from there, and again, it's everybody's got a very great opinion, a very good view of the gym as a whole, and in the MMA world, we can see exactly who comes out there, and the attitude as well as the ethics always there. So yeah, brilliant move. So just want to jump on a wee bit of a fight chat, just very briefly. So we'll jump on to your last fight. Now, we know about that, Macy Barber. Big fight for the division. Everybody's talking about it. We're some months away from that loss. How are you feeling with some reflection?
The same as I felt the day after, honestly. Of course, it's a disappointing decision that was made. No real changes have been made since then, unfortunately, with the judging staff. But as I said in my post after, I'm just going to go get back to work and come back to the top where I belong and steal my spot back eventually. And I have no doubt that me and Macy will fight again in the future, whether it's higher ranked at 4 and 5 or something along those lines. But right now she's getting ready to fight my new training partner, Montana, who I will be primarily training with her entire fight camp. So looking forward to that fight between herself and Macy, and hoping to get myself a fight booked in the near future.
Mm-hmm. It's a very small world, isn't it, when you're connected to her and then the partners and so on. Do you not think that the UFC shot themselves in the foot with that? I mean, we know, of course, that it's an exciting fight bringing you both together, but do you not think, both in your early 20s, respectively, hype on each part, do you not think they could have left that until maybe even a year or two down the line, until you had a couple of more fights, and perhaps get it a co-main event, main event at some time in the future?
Not only do I think that's what they should have done, that's what I was the entire time. I said it was, as far as matchmaking goes, in my opinion, not a smart fight. Yes, it was my favorite fight, no doubt, but like you just said, wait until we're higher up. We're two young guns coming into this division that needs, to say it brutally, like fresh meat to be going up the line. They just got done talking about, now what for the champ. Guess what? They've stagnated their own division because they keep putting me, for instance, up against other younger fighters in the division. And now we've run out of young girls to come into the top 10, because first it's me against Jillian. She's also a young fighter within the 125-pound division. Knocked her down even further. Then it's me against Macy. Knocks me down a little bit further. Mind you, my real position within the rankings didn't change much. But as far as the viewpoint of who gets to be title contenders, I think they need to branch out and have number 5s go against number 13s and have number 3s go against number 8s, instead of having the same top 5, because they just keep fighting each other.
They do that in every other division, so yeah, I think it's definitely a bit of a poor idea. Hopefully they learn from that mistake as well. So just while you're touching upon Jillian Robertson, so we know that you had a history. Now, you were training with Jillian Robertson. Did you happen to get some interactions with Dean Thomas? Any wise advice moving in your career?
I did a little bit, actually. He came for a couple of the practices where MMA with Jillian, because he came up for a couple days while she was training with me. I called her out in preparation for that Macy fight because I knew Jillian was so ground, and that's somewhere where I'm very dominant most of the time against fighters, and wanted someone to push me there. I also had Deanna Bennett, who in the past I've actually fought 2 times, and her to come there to help me with wall pressure and stuff. But Dean, just gave me key advice that I won't really say on here. We're all just about the UFC and playing the long game rather than the short game, and training smart, which is what any coach that really cares will tell you.
Yeah, he's a veteran. He's a pioneer in many cases as well. So if you're going to get advice, someone who's been there and done it, I can't think of many people as good as Dean Thomas. How was the public response? So I know that personally I thought you won the fight. Personally, most of my peers thought you won the fight as well. You had a lot of encouraging, a lot of good feedback rather than the negative, which we know can happen from time to time.
Yeah, I definitely did. I got 90% good feedback, and about 5% that was just retaliating against that good feedback. And then, of course, you always have the haters out there that message stuff. But I've tried of the positives. But the thing is, even when people are saying I won the fight or it was a bad decision, it doesn't change that decision. No. There's on my record, and I still didn't get paid the amount that I would have gotten paid. And shout out to UFC. I did get a small bonus afterwards, but it still wasn't, equivalent to what would have happened. And it's unfortunate. And, people will say, well, that's why we don't leave it to the judges. That's not wrong, but they've also got to understand at the level that we're at, where both of us are fighters that have only trained for this and have worked really hard to climb that ladder. It's harder to get a finish than people may think, until they go in there and try to do it themselves.
You're fighting the elite of the elite. It's not as simple as it can maybe seem on paper. It's the top of the top for a reason.
Yep.
So the flyweight division now, as we've said, we know that the decision making can be a bit mad and sporadic, but you're never too far away. You know that you can be a couple of fights away if you're getting close to the belt, getting close to Valentina. Now, is there any fights, any people that you've looked at? So I think there's a bit of a tough spot for you. I mean, we know that Cynthia Calvillo, Roxanne Modafferi's just fought Jessica Ai, Andrea Lee, they're booked as well. Now, I'm thinking you're going to need to jump back in there if you're going to be getting up to the the kind of upper half of the division again, you perhaps will probably get through someone like Modafferi or maybe Calvillo at some point. Have you ever thought about fighting Roxanne Modafferi? She seems to be the one that everybody needs to go through on their way up.
I've thought about all of the different ones,
Yeah.
and I'm not too worried about any except for about 3 or 4 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Honest with you, my decision right now as far as who I want to fight is going to be a little bit lower ranked.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to take a couple fights that are not in the top 10 or so
Yeah.
before I get into the top 10, because I want my pay to be a little bit higher before I do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like out of the top 15 of any division in the UFC, I'm not getting paid near what most of them are, just because I haven't been in the UFC long and it's a bracket system, right? And so for me, I'd like to get a couple fights, be able to renegotiate a contract, and get back to the top and fighting the top girls. Now, if that doesn't happen and I get a fight for a top 10 girl, yeah, so be it. I'll take the fight and I'll be happy about it. But I would like to strategically take my time with this career. I haven't even reached my peak yet. And I feel like that I'll be ready.
Yep, smart move. As you said, you're still very young. You've got plenty of time to get there. Now, if we're going then away from that top 10, moving back down the way, I've seen a couple of fighters there. So, I mean, fighters like, we've got JJ Aldrich. JJ Aldrich is going to be your teammate, right enough. But what about like Molly McCann, fighters like that? Have you had a chance to watch Molly and see what she brings to the table?
I actually asked to fight Molly, so I'm hoping
Did
I
you?
hear one. I wouldn't mind some advertisement along those lines, but I would love to fight Molly McCann soon. And there's several names, honestly, that I've thrown out. Antonina already got a fight booked, but
Yeah,
she's wanting to be able to fight.
yeah.
But there's a lot of girls within the division that are coming up and close to those rankings that I think would be really good fights, really exciting and really good. But Molly is one where, we have similar styles in some ways, and I think it would just be an interesting fight.
It would completely blow the UK apart. I don't know how familiar you are with the UK, but across here, everybody's very, very kind of thriving and supportive of their own. And Molly McCann, like Paddy's got very, very big popularity. So you would get a very, very wide bit of exposure fighting Molly McCann. And fans always win in those situations. You know yourself, you both bring it. I mean, I hope it happens. It'll be a great fight.
I hope so too, but
Yeah.
we'll waiting for the matchmaker to get back to me now, and been waiting for a couple months. So
Hmm.
hopefully soon there'll be an opportunity available.
Well, I'm sure she was meant to be hopefully renegotiating a contract, so hopefully she's got it. She's maybe not made an announcement, but a fight like that being announced as her kind of new fight deal contract and bringing you and her together would be amazing. So we'll just move on to that. Back up to the top tier very slightly just before I let you go. So Valentina Shevchenko, she's looking outstanding, dominant. People on 4, 5 fight win streaks can't beat her. You ever envisioned fighting her? We know that as long as she stays down in that division, you've got a good chance of getting to her in the next couple of years. What's your thoughts on Valentina, just as both a competitor and as a fan?
As a fan and seeing her as I've grown sport and stuff, I'm very impressed with Valentina. She has been a very dominant champion, and it's incredible watching her. Technique is very sharp, very good, and she's very fast. As far as the rival in me that wants to fight her someday, I said my debut with the UFC, that's obviously the goal. If
Yeah.
you're a professional fighter, you want to fight the top. And if you don't, then what are you even doing in the sport? I'm competitive at heart. I'm always trying to get better and improve between fights. Um, and I don't think I've ever really shown my full potential in the cage. Some days we have bad days. And
Hmm.
even the fight with Macy, in my own opinion, when I rewatched that, I didn't put out what I could have put out, whether it was a slower day or um, I just didn't make the right fight IQ decisions in that fight. Like the last round, could have taken her down, could have beat her up a little bit. Didn't do that. And it's hard to say after the fact, like what was going through your head that you do that. That's a question that all of us fighters
Yeah.
find ourselves contemplating, right? But as far as fighting Valentina, I think these girls walk into that cage so intimidated that they hardly even try anything. Like even the Lauren Murphy fight, I tweeted about it a bit, but try. at least try to win the fight. Like, even if you're going to get your butt kicked, like, you shouldn't be trying to survive round to round. You should be trying to go into that fight to win, even if it's throwing out a risky move or taking a risk and going for a takedown or whatever the case may be. Girls haven't even been able to find holes in Valentina, though, and Valentina claims she doesn't have any, but everyone does.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot can't find them because they won't take the risk to try.
Yeah, and Lauren Murphy, I mean, given at the stage of the career that she's at, this is more than likely going to be her last opportunity at a title shot. So yeah, I think that I'm not talking as a fighter, of course, but as an observer, I would have hoped that it would have been a bit of put yourself out there, put a bit of risk. You're in that situation you've worked so hard to get for, so why not? You never know. Unpredictable. It's a game of inches. You might just get that lucky shot, you know?
Yep, and that's how I feel about it.
So, with your flyweight goals then, so Valentina, she's still young. She could still reign for a while. Would it feel more satisfying being able to beat her than someone else who perhaps goes in as the flyweight champion over the next few years?
Of course it would. I'd love to fight Valentina the next couple years, and I hope she is still the champion by then. And even when she's out, like, a champ is a champ, whether you're the top of the division with someone else at it or not. I will have always wanted to fight her if I end up fighting for the title when she's not there. But either way, at the end of the day, this is an entertainment industry, and I am in it for the money too, not just for the glory and fame. So I hope to fight for the title no matter who's standing in my way and to be the best in the world, whether Valentina's there or not. But honestly, I hope to be able to train with her someday, hope to be able to fight her, hope all of it as far as that goes.
No, I truly hope so as well. So, you've not got a fight booked at the moment. You're very much, you got your ears open for a fight, hopefully that someone comes up. I hope to see you fighting this year. I mean, do you think that's likely, or is it probably going to be 2022?
I really don't know. I've
Yeah.
been told or January, so we'll see. Hopefully by the end of the year. That's really what I wanted. But we'll see what happens.
No, it's very exciting. So, just before we go, when it comes to you overall, so I'm very observant of fighters in many different aspects. Now, am I right in just guessing that you're totally enjoying the swing of things? You're a fan of the sport. You're in the sport. It seems like you're just kind of like a sponge. You're absorbing the whole experience. Would you say that you're at your most happiest at this stage of your career, just progressing up?
Yeah, basically enjoying the journey they talk about. And for me, taking every opportunity I can get. One of my biggest goals in life in general is to use the potential I've been blessed with. And that means teaching others. That means sharing knowledge. That means going out and learning from different people and traveling and training as hard as I can and finding out what potential I do have. And that's learning every aspect. When I moved out to Virginia, I got to learn Muay Thai and really improve my striking there. Now I'm coming back or not coming back, but coming to Denver, training with Team Elevation. And I feel like my transitions are going to get a lot better and potentially my cage control. And just every time I want to be able to add those new tools to the belt and to get at the level that I have with the fewer years that I've been training and the amount of time that I've had to focus on school and work and other things. I really think I have a bright future ahead.
Couldn't agree more. You bring some into the division. I know that we've got a lot of talented fighters, but yourself, by your name, your ethic, your attitude, there's a lot of people in the MMA community talking about you. You've just got something about you that combined brings a good energy and a good excitement. So long may that continue. Now, a final word. What's the best way for fans to follow and support your journey?
So the best way to follow me is to go to Instagram probably. So it's You're the Maverick _HOMP. Really easy. If you just type in Miranda Maverick, I'll be the first thing to pop up on pretty much any social media site. In addition, I do have a website, fearthemaverick.net. You can go purchase merchandise there, whether it's craft and memorabilia or just gloves and training gear and shirts. Follow me on Instagram. If you message me, I do my best to message back as long as it's appropriate. And same with sponsorship opportunities. If you want to partner with me or work with me, just let me know.
I'll definitely throw that on the show notes. Where did the nickname come from, Fearda?
So that's from some old coaches that I had in Springfield, Missouri when I started out fighting, and they got me all the way to the high level of Invicta. So I was always really nice to my opponents, and I'm a pretty nice person in general. And I always walk up and be like, "Hi, how are you?" And just be friendly to them. And they were like, "Stop! You need to make them fear you. You need to make them fear the Maverick." And they said that the first time, and then they'd repeat it fight after fight, and eventually through the gym and everything, it just started to stick.
It's a brilliant one. Any other ones that people are not aware of? Any ones that might not be expected?
Only if you listen real close when my dad's yelling for me in the background, you might hear a nickname that I don't care for the public to.
I'll keep a listen out. Miranda, thanks very much for your time.
Yeah, it's a little childish, but thank you. I appreciate
I'm
it.
going to listen out. No problem. But you take care. Can't wait to see you fight. Personally, I hope that Molly fight happens. That'll be, as we say across here, it'll be an absolute banger.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Take care. Thanks for your time.